And we are back with the fifth and the final segment of the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this final segment, we are going to go ahead and just do a quick recap of basketball and what's been going on in the basketball world. It's not going to be just about the games, but also about some news that I heard about, like in regards to basketball. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the trade between the Nets and the Golden State Warriors. So Dennis Schroder has been traded to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for DeAnthony Melton and as well as a couple of picks. So the Warriors in this trade, they also end up getting a 2025 second round pick via Miami from the Brooklyn Nets. And the Nets also end up getting Reese Beckman in this trade, as well as three second round picks, one in 2026 and 2028, and one in 2029 as well. So the ones in 2026 and 2028 come from Atlanta, and the one in 2029 comes from Golden State. So that was the trade. And already the Golden State Warriors, they ended up getting blown out by the Memphis Grizzlies. This happened on Thursday, so I might as well go ahead and talk about that game since, the Grizzlies, they destroyed Dennis Schroder and the Nets the last time they played, and now they destroyed Dennis Schroder on the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Grizzlies, they ended up winning 144-93. This was by far the worst game that Steph Curry has ever played in a very long time. He did not make a single shot in this game. He went 0 for 7 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3, and the only points that he scored, two of them, were at the line. And that was basically it from Steph Curry. I will say this, if LeBron had some game like this, we would hear this till the end of time. But of course, because it's Steph Curry, no one is going to really remember this game. And no one played well on this team for Golden State. Kuminga went 2 for 12, 0 for 2 from 3 with only 11 points. And Dennis Schroder ended up going 2 for 12 as well with only 5 points. So not a very ideal game coming in from Golden State. The Grizzlies just completely dominated them on every single facet. Ja Morant didn't even play well in this game, and they still ended up losing. Now, Ja Morant, he ended up scoring 9 points on 9 shots, and it's not a very ideal performance from Ja, but again, he only played 17 minutes in this game. This game was never really close, like, at all. In the first quarter, Memphis outscored them 37-15, and that was basically all she wrote. And then in the third quarter, the Grizzlies ended up outscoring the Golden State Warriors 40-21. So, not a very good game coming in from Golden State in this one. I will say that. Some other basketball news that I found out about: Caitlin Clark is going to get her jersey retired for Iowa, and they're going to retire her jersey on February 2nd versus USC, University of South California, I believe, where Juju plays. That's going to be a great game. And on top of that, this is also going to be probably the most expensive women's basketball game ever. There was this one ticket that I saw on TickPick. Apparently the cheapest ticket for this game is going for $711. By far the most expensive ticket ever in women's basketball history. And I am fully confident that this game is going to completely sell out the crowd despite these prices. I am so confident that that's going to happen. We all know how great Caitlin Clark is. And for a retirement ceremony, I know so many fans are going to be there in attendance. And without a doubt. And let me know in the comments what you guys think of that ticket price. Would you pay $711 just to go watch a women's basketball game? I wouldn't pay $700 to watch any game, but let me know what you guys think. And in some other news for basketball, the NBA has officially changed its All-Star Game format. So instead of it being East and West, like how it was previously, they're going to have a tiny tournament. And they got a real thing for tournaments. I don't understand why, but they're going to have this tournament format where it's going to be 4 teams and 3 games. 24 NBA All-Stars are going to be selected and divided into 3 8-player teams. The 4th team is going to be the winner for the Rising Stars game, the Rising Stars champion. And this was what I talked about before in a previous segment, but now they're just making it official. And let's see. Honorary team general managers, TNT analysts Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Candace Parker. Barkley, O'Neal, and Smith are going to draft their team rosters from a pool of 24 NBA All-Star selections. Parker is going to be the GM of Castrol Rising Stars champion. So the two teams, they're going to meet in one semifinal game, game one, and the remaining two teams are going to meet in the other semifinal game in game two. Winning teams from game one and game two are going to advance and face each other in the championship game, which is going to be game three. And the winner of each game is the first team to reach and surpass 40 points. So that's how the format is going to look at right now. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this format. If you guys think this is a bad format, if you guys think that they should go back to East versus West. The reason why they're making this format like this is to try and find some sort of competitiveness in All-Star Weekend and try and increase the viewership of the All-Star game, so that way people can tune into it a little bit more, and people would want to tune into it more, because a big reason why no one tunes into these All-Star games is because if you think the regular season is boring, this one is even more boring because nobody plays defense, which is probably another reason why the NBA is lacking in viewership that I forgot to mention completely. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. I already know Kevin Durant, he's already stated how he does not like this format at all. He wants it to go back to the East versus West format because it was a little bit more simpler. And I completely understand that. But I also understand why the NBA tried to change this to make this a little bit more competitive. I don't think they're going to make All-Star games more competitive because this is supposed to be the week where NBA players and NBA teams get to relax. And trying to win in a tournament game, not only does that increase your chances of getting injured, but it's like, why are we playing a serious game in a time where we're supposed to be relaxing and not taking things all that seriously? I mean, I totally understand both sides of the coin, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. And yeah, that's the basketball news that ended up taking place. Oh, and of course, LeBron ended up surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in total minutes played. I'm sure we all knew that was going to happen eventually just based off of how long of a career LeBron James has had. And I mean, that was, of course, that was going to be another longevity record that goes into LeBron's resume. And I will say, though, it's very impressive that he was able to beat Kareem's scoring record before he ended up beating Kareem's minutes record. That is something that is probably not going to get talked about all that much, but that's besides the point. That's what happened recently. And I might as well go ahead and skim through some of these other games that took place yesterday on Thursday. So the Nets, they ended up beating the Raptors 101-94. Grizzlies, as I mentioned, defeated the Warriors. Clippers, they ended up defeating the Dallas Mavericks. The Knicks, this one was a big one, actually. The Knicks ended up beating the Timberwolves 133-107. Karl Anthony Towns made a statement in this game, scoring as many points as the jersey number that he wears, 32. He also recorded 20 rebounds, basically showing the entire Timberwolves crowd and the team why trading him was a mistake, which I do think is probably one of the biggest mistakes that the Timberwolves have ever done in their entire career, in their entire career as a franchise. Well, now, one of their mistakes was not giving Kevin Garnett any help, which forced Kevin Garnett to leave. Now, well, he didn't leave. He technically got traded, but obviously, if the Timberwolves were in a good position without him, and if they had a very solid team, chances are he would have been a Timberwolf for the rest of his life. But here we have the situation where the Timberwolves, they ended up making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and they trade away their second best player, which is really nobody expected that trade, and nobody thought that was even going to happen, because why would you trade away your second best player on a team that looked like they were on the cusp to winning an NBA championship? That is by far a terrible mistake. And he let them know in this game. He definitely let them know in this game. Anthony Edwards ended the game with only 17 points, so not a very ideal game coming in from Ant. And of course, Rudy Gobert didn't do anything offensively. When does he ever do that? But Lakers, they ended up beating the Kings 113-100. The Jazz ended up surprisingly beating the Pistons, but of course they did because, anything can happen when you go up against the Pistons. And they ended up winning 126-119. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they ended up beating the Orlando Magic 105-99, as to be expected. The Orlando Magic do not have most of their competent players, Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, so it makes sense that they're going to tank a little bit in the records. The Wizards ended up getting their first win in like 2 months, or something like that. They're 4-21, so that goes to show you just how awful the Wizards are. They ended up winning 123-114. First game that they won in a very, very, very long time. Again, I don't think they won a single game in the month of November at all. I don't think that happened. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to check just to make sure, because if I remember correctly, they did not win a single game in November. Yep, they lost every single game that they played in November, and now they have 2 wins in December. One of those wins was against the Denver Nuggets. I completely forgot about that game. And then the other win, of course, came tonight. But again, the fact that this is only their 4th win in the last 2 months is embarrassing. But yeah, that's just the Wizards for you. At this point, it's like, don't be that team, to quote Kyle Kuzma, who's on the Wizards, by the way. The Bulls, they ended up stunning the Boston Celtics and ended up beating them 117-108. I don't know why, but Talon Horton-Tucker does not look like a 24-year-old with his new haircut, but I'm not going to really say anything about that other than that. Zach LaVine ended up scoring 36 points. There's also some trade rumors going around that Zach LaVine might get traded to the Denver Nuggets, so that's something to keep an eye on. And aside from Zach LaVine's 36 points, Nikola Vucevic ended up recording 16 points and 14 rebounds. Jason Tatum pretty much almost matched Zach LaVine's scoring, 31 points and 10 rebounds. Jaylen Brown ended up getting only 19 points. Porzingis had 20, and Derek White had 16. But Drew Holiday ended up being the weakest link and recorded only 6 points. He always does that. He always has those games like that. And the Houston Rockets, they ended up beating the Pelicans 133-113. Spurs ended up beating the Hawks 133-126 in overtime. Victor Wembanyama had a ridiculous game against, of course it was against Zachary Rasacher, his fellow Frenchman. He ended up recording 42 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, along with 4 blocks. Just, of course, the most Victor Wembanyama stat line ever. And Zachary Rasacher, of course, did nothing. Only 9 points, 4 for 13 from the field. Probably the worst number 1 overall pick in NBA history. I don't know why they drafted him at number 1, but that's whatever. Trae Young played really well in this game, 23 points, 16 assists. He didn't really shoot the ball all that efficiently with, 7 for 16. Not all that efficiently, but again, the playmaking is fantastic. Pacers, they ended up beating the Suns 120-111. And the Trailblazers ended up surprisingly beating the Nuggets, of course, because the Denver Nuggets are absolutely nothing without Nikola Jokic. And they ended up winning 126-124. Fernie Simmons dropped 28 points and 10 assists. And on the Nuggets side, Jokic had 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. But of course, since he didn't drop a triple-double, it was not enough for them to win the game. It's like he almost always has to drop a triple-double just for them to have a slight chance of winning the game, which is a very unfortunate situation that he's in right now. And that's all that I really have for this NBA recap, and that's it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as usual, we love to hear what you guys have to say during the show. Whether it's a hot take or a burning question or something you're dying to share, use the link displayed below the ticker, or you can use Super Chat, which either or really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. That's all that I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna